There's a lot of debate over here, and indeed everywhere outside of America, about your presidential race. You've not endorsed any of the Republican candidates yet. You've seen a number of them. People outside of America are looking at America and going, is this really the best you can do, a rematch of Trump-Biden? One guy in his 80s who can barely string a sentence together, another one facing 100 criminal indictments. It's like, is that it? What do you say to that?
Well, I haven't endorsed yet because I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to run or not.
Right.
I ran in 2016. Maybe I should throw my hat in. I don't think it's going that great for everybody else, and nobody seems to be coming forward. Trump still seems to be getting more votes than all the rest combined, so maybe they need somebody new in the race. That's kidding for the most part. I do think that the race of Biden versus Trump, there are a lot of people who think, they'd like another choice. But right now, I think that's what the choices will be.
And who do you think will win if it is Trump-Biden?
I think the extraordinary thing is the more that they've indicted Trump and the more that these prosecutions are seen as persecutions and is seen as, where they go back and change the law because statute of limitations expired years ago and they changed the law just to prosecute him. It's done by political DAs who are campaigning on the fact that they're going after Trump. It's only brought his numbers up. And there was a poll recently that had Trump ahead in 5 battleground states. So I think that it's difficult to imagine Trump winning, but it's also difficult to imagine anything more unfair they could do to him, and also how pitiful the performance of Biden has been and how frail and detached that he looks in doing his job, that it worries people that he's still able and has enough vim and vigor to actually be the president.
Right. Let's turn to your book, Deception, the Great COVID Cover-Up. This is all about, of course, the coronavirus pandemic. At the heart of your book, you believe there was a great deception, not just on the American people, but actually on the world.
There's probably never been more actual factual data to show a deception in this case than any other. We have a treasure trove of hundreds and hundreds of private emails where Anthony Fauci and the scientists around him say, my goodness, the virus looks manipulated. My goodness, we know they're doing gain-of-function research in that lab. And yet publicly they were saying the opposite. It became so bad that it actually intersects with the question of censorship. For over a year and a half, Facebook took down any mention that the virus might have come from the lab. In public, Anthony Fauci said, how dare you? The NIH has never, ever funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan. But it turns out in private, he readily was acknowledging that, yes, they had funded it. And yes, it did look like the most likely explanation was that it came from the lab. Meanwhile, the public journals that he commissioned, the scientists that were on his payroll to write these articles were saying, no way, you're crazy, or it's a conspiracy theory if you believe this. But I would say now that it's sort of evenly split in the scientific community, if not trending in the direction of believing that the evidence indicates that it came from the lab.
Are we any better prepared as a world for another pandemic, do you think?
No, because the best thing we can do is prevention. Once the pandemic comes out, I don't think anything that we did short of the vaccine altered the course of the disease. And in some ways, since the vaccine didn't stop transmission, I think it helped reduce death in the targeted population, but didn't reduce transmission. But as far as prevention, we could quit creating these super viruses. Think about it. There are scientists who say, well, Ebola, it's really deadly. To study it, why don't we see if we can make it aerosolized and transmittable through the air? There are scientists that believe that that's sort of a death wish. That's sort of a gamble with civilization. Ebola kills 50% of the people, but it's transmitted more like AIDS through bodily fluids. And so it's not as contagious as going through the air. What world would we want the tax dollars, the government tax dollars, to be going towards trying to aerosolize a virus that is deadly?
Well, Senator Paul, you ask a lot of questions like that in your book, as you have done, indeed, as a senator in the last few years, and it's been very impressive to watch. You'd make a great investigative journalist. So if you ever want a new job, come and join Piers Morgan Uncensored. But for now, thank you for coming on the show, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.